Hello, hello, and welcome everybody out there in the Note Investing Made Easier universe. Thank you for being with us for another week with my partner Shawn and myself. And before we get this kicked off, just want to make a few announcements. We are starting to get folks signing up for the December 10th and 11th Note Investing Fundamentals Workshop, whereby individuals are learning how to build a note business for themselves and avoid a costly learning curve. So if you are starting out in the note industry, it's worth doing it right out of the gate, learning from individuals that know what they're doing and do this a day in and day out. So we look forward to seeing spending 2 days with you as in our office in Sarasota, Florida. And also, as well as if you're an experienced or a existing note investor, we are hosting a mastermind on December 12th and 13th in Sarasota, Florida at our office location. And we're already starting to get signups for that. So I actually misspoke. So the mastermind is the 10th and 11th, and the note investing fundamentals is the 12th and 13th. So either way, love to have you come. We have an incredible agenda for both events. And without further ado, let's get this kicked off. Shawn, are you ready to go? Building repeatable systems within your note business. And now we can only speak for us, right? I mean, everyone's kind of doing their own thing out there. And so we're letting you guys know, what we've done through the Note Investing Made Easier group and all our affiliate companies, as well as BQuest Funds, which is our income fund. So we're kind of speaking from that place. But I tell you, when I first started, I'll get this kicked off here, Shawn. When I first started, I was just doing everything. I was learning on the fly. Yeah. And as I was doing, I was putting knowledge in the noggin here and just kind of going off of that. And it was easy, right? You buy a few notes, you kind of, work with the bars, you work with all the analysis reports, you get modifications going, you orchestrate with legal and servicing, and you start building a portfolio for yourself. Well, that's great when you have 10, 20 notes, but what happens from that point? Why are we even here talking about building repeatable processes?
Yeah, Martin, thanks. I know a lot of note investors out there. We're like at some point in your note investing career, you have to start out just like you and I both started out as, hey, we're going to go buy some notes, we're going to go buy some loans and work them out ourselves. Like, I've got these block of loans and I'm going to go at it. And we realize like that works great. And as an early note investor, like that worked phenomenal. Like I'm like, I think I can handle, I can handle 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 notes, right? No problem. Now, as you get up to 50, you need to get a little more organized, right? But when you have those first 10, you're like, I can do it this way. I got it all covered, right? I know everything about that note. I don't need any systems. Who needs systems? But when you scale the operation and you want the results, like I want, like my result expectation is every single loan that I own modified. That's perfection. You scale your business from 10 loans to 20 to 50 to 500. It's very hard. It's very difficult.
So you made a great point. You want to modify 100% of the time. You and I both know you're going to get reinstatements, you're going to get payoffs, you're going to get short sales, you're going to get BK filings. All these different scenarios are going to occur. However, with that said, you still want to make it a target to modify 100% of the time, and you want to do it in a consistent manner. And I think that's kind of what we're hitting on. So give that to us here. Talk about the importance of consistency.
In order to just think about it, it's a manufacturing, philosophy at the end of the day, right? What we're doing is workflow, right? We're doing workflow, and every day you do X, Y, Z. But in order to scale the operation from a custom fabrication shop, which is what we were as a one-man show, right? We were a custom fabrication shop. Things came in and we kind of did it this way this time, but a little bit differently that time. But at the end of the result, it came out, it was beautiful. But now you need a mod shop, like a mod manufacturing shop. And there's 3 people on the mod line now, not one person. And you still want the same results. And so if that's what you're trying to do, you're trying to scale your operation, for you to maintain that quality, that 100% every loan modified, you have to do things the exact same way every time. And when information flows from one person responsible for one section of the line, the factory line, that same information needs to flow all the way through, and they need to expect certain information so that they can give certain information and people can make decisions the same way every time. That's so easy when it's just one person, because I got all the information right here, the history of the loan, like what happened on 2 weeks ago. When you got multiple people in the process, you got to put a lot of thought around that. And if you don't do things consistently the same way every time, you're going to lose. Productivity.
Yeah, just since we're talking about loan modifications, we kind of went into that tangent, which is a main process in our industry, because that's where you're making your money. I mean, just receiving a borrower inbound call, you want consistent questions asked of that borrower, whether it's you talking to that borrower, or whether it's someone else, you want someone who works for you. You want to gather particular points of information from that borrower in a very consistent manner for each borrower that's spoken to.
Yeah. And for us, we have the fortunate experience of having a few folks who work for us, right? And so as we are scaling our business, we're having to put workflows in place that allow us to standardize the process. And so when a call comes into the call center and it's a borrower who requests a loan modification, what questions does the approver of that modification need to know? And so we're going through that. I mean, we've been doing this, but every day you tinker with your process, your workflow. How do I make it better? How do I make it better? And what type of information am I gathering so that the approver of the modification can make the right decision every time with all the information that they need at their fingertips? They don't have to go and hunt and search for it, because at the end of the day, we want that modification paying for the next 30 years. And so how do we make a good decision? What information do we need with now not just one person involved, but many people involved in the process?
And we're not just talking about a checklist. You run down 5 questions, fill in the blanks, send it up to management, modification gets drafted. We're talking about a decision tree. So if the borrower says yes, then you follow up with this question. If the borrower says no, follow up with another question. And so you're trying to lead that borrower down a road whereby you're going to get the necessary information. What do they owe on their senior balance? Are they current? I mean, these are questions that, what do they think their house is worth? What can they afford in terms of payment? These are very important questions that will help you draft the appropriate loan modification options by which the borrower can afford.
And we're gathering all this data and keeping it. Most importantly, storing the data so that there's a history. We're now gaining data on the borrower that's critical for us holding that loan for the next 30 years. So consistency in your processes is key to turning this operation from a one-man shop into more of a mod factory.
And so let's just step back for a moment. And I know we kind of went down the road with modifications. And if you don't have a workflow, if you don't have a standard operating procedure, like Dan Mitchell just mentioned, you need to build one with the very important tasks. If you do nothing else, determine what are some of the important tasks within note investing, from due diligence standpoint, from asset management, where you're doing loan modifications, or you're doing a process for early discounted payoffs, whatever the case. You need to have a workflow system in place for each of those processes, so you can improve upon it as you go down, and it's all being done in a consistent manner whereby you can teach new employees what it is you're doing, what your company's about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So building that list, I think I always recommend for folks just to start with documenting every time they do a new task. And then you can create a library at some point, organize it, and then start to build your workflows from that point. However, this is where you're not going to start out of the gate with multiple employees. It's just not going to happen. However, the objective is to build it as if you have multiple employees. So that makes the transition easier. If you never build it that way, you're going to stay as a one-person operation, which may be fine, if that's your preference. However, for like our companies, we have investors that invest with us. They want to see that we're scalable. They want to see that we have, backups, right? If I'm out, and if I'm sick with the flu, and someone else can just pick up on a file and move the file forward with the bar.
Yeah, absolutely. And just by going through the exercise of saying, okay, if my workflow is documented, and you kind of run through it, you actually put it on a piece of paper, you're going to be like, why am I doing it that way? Like, it's so much easier if I actually did it this way. And if it was actually on a piece of paper, you were studying it, you were creating it, I guarantee you, if you still end up, your business is going to be better off by just looking through that workflow, tinkering with it, making adjustments to it, so that you may still be in a one-man shop, and that's your goal. But you're gonna tinker with your process, your workflow. You're gonna make it more efficient. And so you maybe thought, hey, I can only handle 30 loans, but if I tweak this and I tweak that and I stored this in this nice little database online and I did that, I could spend 2 hours a day on my note business instead of 6. And so my goal is never to grow like you, Martin, but my goal is to have more time with my family, right? And so if I tweak my workflow, I could save a few hours a day.
Yeah. And also too, you can, like you kind of hit on, you just can do constant improvement. So you're looking at ways, because when you have it all structured out, and obviously you can use various softwares. Some folks use Podio, some folks use I think Pipedrive, and even HubSpot, and these others. They have funneling approaches, or they have these approaches where you can build flows to activities. Technology is so critically important in this, and it's affordable nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
So you can find all these cloud-based softwares. I mean, you do a lot of the technology for the organization. I mean, speak to that for a minute.
Yeah, there's so many, business process management, or BPM platforms out there. I came from the tech space, right? So I'm very familiar with actually, you know what? I used to be a product manager in the tech industry. And so just imagine, like, we were building a factory too with people, a human factory. And so everybody had a task. And if people didn't get their tasks done, you're talking, hundreds and hundreds of people, no real factory, but everybody had a task to do, whether you're building software or setting up service or whatever. A business process management or BPM skills are a critical piece of even our business, right? You can take technology with your business process and you can make it flow. There's even some really cool automation technology out there that you can utilize. And if the objective is to grow, you can do that without having to have an enormous staff. You can create some automation with some software. But if your goal is to save time, you can use automation to do that too.
Awesome. And Aaron Quinn writes, technology is how I offer Fannie Mae rates to all investors. If you have the right technology, you're much more efficient. Work smarter, not harder. And yeah, and we all love Aaron. She does creditor rights, attorney services for Florida and I think Tennessee.
Well. Yeah, Tennessee too.
Yeah. Great stuff. And so I think it should start day one. This is what I would recommend is literally, when you start your business and we mentor people, right? Our company, we mentor individuals, small groups of individuals. And the first thing that we impress upon people is that you need to document all the new tasks that you're doing, because some are not going to mean anything. And then others are going to mean a lot of things, but you don't know enough to go and organize it and put and kind of build a whole master plan in your mind about how this whole thing's going to operate. However, if you just document all of them, then you can over time look and say, hey, look, I wrote down this task, but it's really not relevant. It doesn't push the needle from sourcing, doesn't help me with due diligence, doesn't help me with workout. It's kind of a waste of time, or I can have someone else do it. And then you look at other tasks and you're like, wow, I really got to emphasize, building this task out further because this is so critical to my bottom line. And this is where you have control. I mean, the idea of control. So what's your thought on, that whole idea of just having control over your business?
Yeah, I would say that the process is never done, right? If you take that philosophy and you're constantly trying to improve your process, you're going to continue to win. And it might just be how you say something to a borrower, or what you talk about first, or whatever. Like, you realize, I'm like, oh, I did it differently that time, just a little differently, and I got much better results. And so from now on, my process for that particular session or whatever in the workflow, I'm going to do it this way now because I just realized, like, it's so much more efficient. And so if you're constantly looking at the process, constantly making changes, you're never done with your process. You continue to tinker with your workflows until it's absolutely perfect. And what you'll find is there's trade secrets in the space, and you stumble upon those trade secrets, and those are valuable to you, right? Because you learn by trial and error, whatever it is, whether it's due diligence or working with a borrower or what have you, right? Constantly improve your process.
Well, I'm gonna take it to the other side, and that is there's wives' tales in our industries too, right? There's these norms that you're like, oh, well, you can't do that, or this isn't the way it's done. And so I found myself breaking through some of the noise that way as well. And, one of the things is, I got criticized by some for starting this Facebook group and kind of growing it. They say, well, you can't be in the limelight and be a note investor. It gives you too much exposure. I've had others criticize me for the books I've written, and saying, hey, you're giving out industry secrets. And, this is something that, it took these individuals years to learn, and I'm just kind of putting it out there. So, but I looked at it as a way of hey, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. We need to go and make sure that we're always recruiting, good individuals with good character and integrity to come into this space and do right by the bars, and do right by yourselves as a business owner as well. And there's just so much room for people to come in still, and make a very good living in business out of this industry.
Absolutely. Pull those loans from those hedge funds and bring them into our community so that we can all work on them, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've bought loans from fellow note investors that thought they were trash, and I mean, we're talking about one. I mean, do we want to even say it? I mean, the one in Seattle. I mean, we're talking about a very large payoff. North of 500K, and this was someone's trash, and so you just have like you could, but the whole idea of control is not just kind of chip away and work within the industry. What we have found is like, hey, we're going to improve this industry. We're going to go and be the best. That we want to be like top of mind when someone says, hey, I like to go and get trained by someone who knows what they're doing in this industry. Bam. Who else would they go to? Note Investing Made Easier. We got our stuff together. We buy tens of millions of dollars of loans every year. Oh, I want to go to an income fund. Bam. We go to someone who has an asset management team right outside their offices, and monitors and has strong systems in place. So we want to be the best of the best. And how do you do that? It's building repeatable processes. So every modification comes to our doorstep or comes onto our desk in the same fashion, so we can make consistent decisions on an ongoing basis and become profitable as a result. I just went off on a soapbox.
No, and honestly, like we're always torn as to where to spend our very valuable time, right? Martin and I, we're super busy. Like our time is so valuable. Do we spend it improving our processes, or going to buy more loans? And honestly, you can't, you have to spend your time somewhere. It can't be in both places all the time. And so we're constantly reminded, let's say, listen, let's make sure our processes are priority number one. The loans will come. The process is priority.
And then you're also working all ends of the note business. I mean, Michael Gerber's book, E-Myth, is going to be around 100 years from now. People are still going to be reading that. And because, people come into this industry all the time and they start working on their notes and they lose focus on sourcing. They lose focus on building community. And this is why I wrote in Note Investing Fundamentals, the 3 pillars of note investing. First one is focus on your identity. And the second is build your community. And the third is mechanics. And what happens, so many come into the space and they just focus on mechanics. Well, you're not going to go, you're going to run like a roller coaster if that's the case, because you always have to be focused on building your identity and building your community that you operate in, so that you have an ongoing steady flow of deal flow. And you have a community by which you can work this deal flow out with strategic partners, attorneys, servicers, et cetera. And you need balance. And in order to have balance, you need to understand all the tasks that you have within your organization.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So we go just put some things out there. We are so insanely excited that I'd go grab the booklets, but we just got the booklets back from the printer for our Destin, Florida mastermind that's taking place next weekend. It's sold out, and I can't be more excited. then it's going to be insane.
That house is amazing, Martin. Unbelievable.
It's like a $3-4 million house on the
Nice.
water. And, but what warms my heart is that the first person that signed up for mentorship with me, Jim Slayton, along with you, Shawn, he's going to be joining us,
Nice.
along with just other people I haven't seen in a long time. And what a blessing. I'm going to cry. I'm just letting you know. I'm just gonna cry. When I'm there, it's very emotional for me.
Reunion. It'll be a reunion.
It will be. It will be very, very special. People that I love are going to be there. And so cool. I'm super excited. My wife can't join me, but your wife will be there, Shawn. And we are just going to have the time of our lives.
Yep.
So thanks for joining us every week. And especially this one on the very special topic of building repeatable processes. I wish, as well as Shawn, that everyone has a prosperous week. You guys keep rocking out, doing what you're doing, and just wish everyone the very best of luck. Many blessings. Our country needs it. I mean, gosh, be good, but just focus on yourself. That's all I got to say. Don't focus on Biden or Trump. None of them are going to do anything for you. Focus on YOU.
Exactly.
Take care, everyone.